Okay, you may notice that something happened, and the reason I didn't update with a new video the other day is because I came back to do the editing. The file was there that I recorded, but it just won't play. I mean, it's a large file, but it just won't play at all, even though I've recorded it. So I need to go through everything that I've done to this point from the last video. So the last video, I believe, I just dry brushed the highlight onto the rocks. So I need to go through to the next step. What I did next was, what I did next was I made up some of these grass tufts. Okay, so what I've got here is I made up some small tufts using different lengths of anti-static grass, and some bushes and some flat sort of woody areas. You can see the stones and bits of flocking that's in there, and as you see, it's also quite hard because of the glue. Basically all you do to make those, it's incredibly simple, is you need a piece of greaseproof paper, some PVA glue, and your flocking, or whatever you want sticking out of the flocking, and then all you need to do is you put whatever size blob of glue on your greaseproof paper, sprinkle your mixture over the top, let it dry, and it'll just peel off. I then added some small flocking bushes made with anti-static grass. It's dead simple. Here's some I've got done here. These weren't static, these were. And I haven't got an anti-static, static grass applier. Basically I use a balloon, rub it on a t-shirt and then hold it over the top for a few seconds and all the grass sticks up. What I do is basically put a small blob of glue through the hole once it's stuck on here, and then just sprinkle the flock in, give it 10 minutes, let the shake off the excess, making sure that while it's still wet I've lifted the balloon over the top, and the static makes it stand up, and the edges of the cardboard help hold it up afterwards. So really simple. So all I've done with these is so you peel them off, you get some either PVA or hot glue, and you stick them down wherever you want them. Same with the bigger tufts and these flats. These flats are quite rubbery, so I could bend them, because the way the PVA glue is, I could bend them to fit the terrain shape. So that's those. And the same with these quite larger bushes here and here and here. I also put some other little ones on the top just to break up the unevenness of the surface on those. I stuck a piece of my hedge onto the board because of the scale. It looks very much like a log off a tree. You see I've got a few more here that I'm thinking of using on the display. All I've done is, they're all dry bits of wood, and I've used some brie wax. It's a dark oak. You don't want to get this on your fingers or anything though. Wear gloves when you use it, because until it's dry it's very oily and waxy, and it stains your skin for days, if not a week or so. So just avoid that without using gloves. The next thing I did, I made some reeds, which are made out of synthetic grass, which is basically my local golf driving range has big mats of this just before where you take your swing, and it sort of gets ripped occasionally, and if you just have a knife to help it along, you can probably, I mean that'll last forever now, but you know, only pinched a little bit. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to get this a lot more legally, but this was just lying around. It's a piece of waste, so I thought, you know, I'd save it getting thrown away, I'd help myself. And all I do with those was same technique, through the cardboard into PVA glue, and then some hot glue to stick them down to the base there. And then of course I've just painted them the same base colour as the water base, so once the water's put in, it will basically be the root bed, the bulb from which the reed has started to grow from. Anything else that I've done? I think that's everything. So the next step will be to PVA all of this, the gaps that I want the extra flock to go on. I've mixed my own flock, which is basically a mishmash of small little twigs, standard flocking with bits of cork. There's a few small flecks of anthracite in there. If you don't know what anthracite is, because my father was a coalman, little small bits of coal, basically. We used to use in the boiler. They've got loads of it out the back of the garden. When you dig, you just find tons of it. So that, and then a mixture of different sort of autumny coloured flocking. So what I'll do next is I'm going to have a quick play around positioning these sort of, I don't know, something like that, maybe. That, maybe even just drop that there, I don't know. I'll have a play around anyway with some bits of sticks and wood, and then when I come back we'll continue from there. So as soon as that's right, I've got my PVA there. I'm just going to, I know this water's been used just to wet a paintbrush, but it doesn't really matter for this. So I'm going to mix this in, give it a good thorough mixing. Now you want it sort of 60-40 maybe. You want your PVA thin because you want it to actually soak into the flock, but you don't want it to soak up all the flock so it goes like concrete. It's a bit hard to describe. Anyway, what I'll do, that's kind of where I want it to be, just so it'll hold. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start painting this into the areas where I want the flocking to go. So let's get that onto the base. As you can see, I'm purposely leaving certain areas just so you can see the almost the soil through there, just because I want it to show that it is very moist ground. So let's keep going. Oh, there. See, I just blobbed a bit there, but it doesn't matter. That's just helped with the overall look. Get a touch in here. There. Okay, so I just keep blobbing this on, like so. Alright, that's that done. So what we do now is, what I'm going to do is take some of this long, I've put a little bit too much of the longer stuff in there, to be honest. So all we do now is take this and we carefully shake it over the top, covering as much of the glue as possible. Now because it's so runny, it will soak a lot of this up. Just give it a gentle tap so you can pick up some of the thicker parts. And this is the scary bit now, because you never know what's going to be underneath when you tip it back out again. So that's had enough time. So I'm just going to tip this over back onto the paper like so and give it a tap. And as you can see, it's picked up the grass areas there. Just give me a second. I'm just going to put that back into its little pot for the next time I use it. This is the messiest part of any base building or model building. Or if you don't get hold of all the paper, then it goes all over your floor, and then you got a hoover nightmare. So that needs to go back in there, like that. And as you can see, that's actually not too bad coverage. It looks pretty good. So I can see a few areas where I might want to add the odd stick or two. Maybe just get a bit more of that sprinkly greeny stuff there, just to fill in that little gap of glue there that hasn't actually quite taken, because too much cork's got in with it. Now don't worry about it all sticking down. What I'll usually do is, I don't think I need to with this particular base, but normally I would spray, make a really watered down PVA mix and just give it a gentle spray over the top, but I don't think it's going to need it with this. Okay, so that needs to dry for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that. As you can see, there's little bits of the brown still left. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish that off completely by getting an old toothbrush, but I'll show you this anyway, and rubbing it so some of that old surface comes out from underneath, and you'll, because it's like you've almost wiped out your paint job. So just almost like weather it down a bit so you can see some of it coming through, so it looks like it's on a muddy surface. Then give it a clean up, and then we're going to address the water. So once that's dry, back in a few moments.